Do you have your slippers? Do you have a hot cup of tea or something warm and cozy? Grab a blanket. Let's talk about winter books. Hello everyone, it is April and today I am going to be doing a Read This, Not That winter edition. I have a whole list of books in my head and written out, and we're going to talk about them. Some books I loved, some books I don't think are worth the read. Let's dive in. So in terms of good books to read in winter, I feel like there are certain themes that pop up. And the first theme that I want to talk about is a getaway in a wintry location that's supposed to be lovely for everyone, but goes terribly, terribly wrong. For this, I would suggest reading One by One by Ruth Ware. This came out in 2020 or 2021. It's her latest one that has been released, 2020. I really enjoyed it. This follows a group of people who work together or have worked together, and they have gone to a bit of a chalet to go skiing. They all have worked at this company that's quite interesting. It's like a technical kind of company that works with music. Snoop. And they go to the French Alps to get away and also to bond and to talk a little bit of shop while they're there. Of course, things go terribly wrong. People go missing and people don't make it out alive. Okay, it was truly scary at places. Like, there is a scene in here where people are sleeping or trying to sleep. And I was nervous for the characters that don't actually exist in real life. I really liked it. I thought it was so atmospheric. You could feel the cold in the air, and I loved it. So I would highly recommend reading this, but I've got quite a few books that are also under that theme that I would not recommend that you read. I would not recommend reading The Sanatorium. I was so excited to read this book, let me tell you. The Sanatorium follows a woman whose brother is getting married, and he and his soon-to-be wife have decided to choose a former sanatorium as their wedding venue. The place has been spruced up, and yet some of the equipment that they used on these patients are used as decoration, which I think is in horrible taste. They soon realize that they're not going to be going anywhere, and the bride-to-be goes missing. And our main character, who is a police officer but is on like a bit of a hiatus for personal reasons, decides that of course she should be the one who investigates. And they're snowed in. No one is coming to help them anytime soon. And there might be a kidnapper or a murderer lurking around the grounds. I found this to be quite boring, if I'm being honest. The beginning I felt had so much potential. And then as you went on, I felt like I didn't really care what happened to the fiance. And I found the main character to be very frustrating at times. So I would not recommend reading The Sanatorium. Sadly, Rock, Paper, Scissors is next. I love Alice Feeney, don't get me wrong. I have really adored her books. I will read anything she writes, but this, in my mind, was her worst book yet. This follows a couple who are having a lot of problems in their marriage, and they decide to get away for a weekend. They actually win a retreat to a little, I think, Scottish kind of cottage. And they go because they're like, listen, it's our anniversary. This is a good time to go. Maybe we can rekindle something here. We kind of go back and forwards in terms of viewpoint and vantage point. And our main character, or one of our main characters, is the man in the couple, and he has face blindness and he cannot recognize people's faces. He knows who they are by how they talk and all of that, but he doesn't know their faces. And I found that was really heavily leaned on and didn't really work for the story at all. I found it to be frustrating at times. And it just got, it became more and more silly as time went on. Terrible things started happening, of course. Of course, there was a lot of snow and creepy things going on at this little cottage place that they have won a getaway to. And I wasn't overly excited about that one. And I don't think I would recommend it. I also would not recommend The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, which was my latest book club book with the Getting Hooked with the Patreon crew. I really usually love the books that we choose, but this time it just didn't work for me, and that's just gonna happen. Sometimes you're gonna love the book club book and sometimes you're not. The Hunting Party is about a group of college friends who get together every single New Year's. And this New Year's is no different. They have decided to rent a series of little, I wouldn't even call them cottages, little camps in the Scottish wilderness. And they go there to actually hunt. There's a lot of hunting in here, which I did not enjoy. And of course, people die. We do follow several different characters in this book, and nobody's a really likable character. That's not why I didn't like it. But I just didn't care who was going to die and who was going to live in this scenario, other than a baby who is brought along for this New Year's celebration and New Year's reunion. I didn't end up really caring who was who. And one thing that I don't like about Lucy Foley's writing is that she keeps you at a distance and then will give little bits and pieces about characters and their pasts as a way to keep you engaged. But I feel like it's a bit lazy in terms of writing, because I'm like, well, why didn't you just give me that information to begin with? And when you finally learn about the mystery and who done it and all of those things, towards the end, you're just like, okay, next. So thank you, next. The next theme that I had in my mind was historical fiction with snowy settings, or with involving snow in one way or another. The book that I want you to read for this is The Book Thief by Marcus Zizek. It is one of my favorite books ever. This follows a young girl who lives in Germany. She's kind of alone in the world, and she goes to stay with a couple who are wonderful, wonderful people. They are in the midst of World War II in Germany, but this family does not agree in any way, shape, or form with the Nazi sentiments and belief system. And so they go about trying to make a mark and help people as much as they can, as safely as they can in their own way. And our main character is one of those people that does that as well in her own way. At the same time, you are learning about her just trying to have a childhood in the midst of war. And I really, really enjoyed that. And there are so many scenes of snow. There is one scene in particular where she brings a snowball in from outdoors to give to someone who hasn't seen the outdoors for a while. And it's just this beautiful moment of generosity. And yeah, this book is so, it will break your heart, and it will also make your heart grow 10 sizes. You know, it's so good. I really, really love this one. A book I would not recommend. Don't read this one, in my opinion. It's The Children's Blizzard. Now, I will say that I DNF'd this. I just couldn't. This follows a group of children as well as people in this small town where a blizzard sets in. The beginning of the day started out really well. Everything was sunny, clear, even kind of balmy for a winter day. And the children go to school as per usual, but they don't have as many, you know, heavy coats and that kind of thing because it's a nice day. And then all of a sudden, a blizzard sets in, and the teachers are struggling with whether or not they should send the kids home to get ahead of the blizzard, or whether they should hunker down and try to just survive the storm in place. And I really had to DNF this book because it was so matter of fact. It was like, I will now tell you a story about a blizzard. And all of the characters felt very one-dimensional and just like a means to an end for this author to tell you about a blizzard. And I just need more. I need more characterization. I need more interesting plot things, and I need more interesting characters. And I just was not in any way blown away by the children's blizzard. But a historical fiction book that I do think that you should read that is wintry is Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. I recommended this book to you guys so many times. It's one of my favorite books of all time. This is historical fiction meets science fiction because we meet a woman named Ursula. And every time that we meet her, she's pretty much beginning her life over and over and over again. And that day is a very snowy day. So Ursula finds herself in a situation where she is born and then something will happen in her life. You know, sometimes as a toddler, she'll be, I don't know, she'll be reaching for something and she'll fall to her death. And then she is born again and has to go through her life again. And she gets further and further along, and you meet her, you know, right in the midst of World War II and helping out people who were bomb victims right in the heart of London during the Blitz. And I found this to be so atmospheric. There are chapters in here about her, you know, living on her own in London, and it's cold, and how she tries to stay warm in her little apartment, and then going through the streets of London trying to save people in the snow. And I just adored this book, and it does feel snowy. It does feel like a good book for winter. Last but not least is the theme of snow, a lot of snow, and being stuck because of the snow, but you're stuck with someone who is terrifying, like absolutely scary beyond belief. It's really the worst nightmare. So these books like are a little bit more horror or very dark thriller. So the book that I think that you should read with this theme in mind is No Exit by Taylor Adams. This was a book club book in December 2020, I want to say. I loved it. I thought this was so good, so gritty. This follows a woman who is driving home hurriedly in the middle of a snowstorm. Her mother is dying, and she's trying to get to her bedside in time. Unfortunately, she has to pull off the road because the snow is just too bad. So she stops at a like a truck stop kind of thing, like a rest stop, I should say. She stops there, and as she's going into the building to warm up and maybe get a coffee, she sees a car parked, and in the car is a caged little girl. She's terrified. She goes into the car park place, the rest stop, and is looking around at this cast of characters who are all fairly strange in their own ways, and is wondering who here has actually kidnapped a girl, and how am I going to save this child? It was genuinely like a nail biter, for sure. It was gritty. This did not shy away from violence. And I was really nervous for her the whole time. Nervous for her, nervous for the girl, the entire time. Yeah, I loved this book. A book I would not recommend for this is Misery. Oh my goodness. I am sorry to say I did not like Misery by Stephen King, and all of the Stephen King fanatics out there are going to be pretty upset with me on this one because this is one of his classics. This follows an author who is driving along a road. It is very snowy. He gets into a car crash. And when he wakes up, he's in a bed and he's comfortable. Now he has like hurt himself. He can't like just up and go. And there is a woman there who says, I'm a nurse and I'm so lucky that I found you because you would have died on your own. So I'm here to take care of you and make you feel better. P.S. I am your biggest fan. And she starts talking to him about his books and his famous series that he's written. And she has decided that she wants a different ending and will force him to create a different ending. I found this to be really, really frustrating. I was not scared of, I think her name was Annie, if I'm not mistaken. I just wasn't scared of her the whole time. And she's supposed to be terrifying. And many, many people do find her terrifying. I just didn't. I did not find her scary. So because I got so frustrated through it, I kind of want to just flip the pages at one point. I would not recommend Misery, but don't take it from me. Like Noelle loved Misery so much. To each his own. But I thought that this would be a fun little read this, not that edition. I haven't done one of these for a while, and I thought this is a good time to do that. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below, what book would you recommend to me based on my favorite wintry books that I've talked about here? I would love to know, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye!